All right, folks, the Oscars So White controversy continues to make headlines, prompting a number of folks in Hollywood to speak out on the issue. You have, of course, Spike Lee, Jada, Pinkett. They say they will not be attending. The two stars announced this just the other day. Now, here's what also happened now. Cheryl Boone Isaacs, who is the president of the Academy, of course, she's the first African-American to head the Academy, released this statement, quote, "I'd like to acknowledge the wonderful work of this year's nominees. While we celebrate their extraordinary achievements, I am both heartbroken and frustrated about the lack of inclusion. This is a difficult but important conversation, and it's time for big changes." And of course, in her announcement, she announced that they're going to immediately move on that. But also yesterday on The View, Whoopi Goldberg, of course, Oscar winner, who has also hosted the show before, also spoke out about the boycott.
Boycotting doesn't work, and it's also a slap in the face of Chris Rock. And I find that also wrong. So I'm not going to boycott, but I'm going to continue to, as I have all year round, because I'm tired of seeing movies where no one is represented except a bit of the population, not all of it.
I don't think we can.
Well, it's interesting there. So when Whoopi says that, well, boycotts don't work, actually they do. There's a history of that. You know, just saying. But also, political and social commentator Jasmine Cannick, she wrote a blog on yesterday where she actually talked about this, and she said the whole issue in terms of she says white liberals should step up. They should be the ones boycotting, not African Americans. Jasmine joins us right now via Skype. Jasmine, good to see you. So explain to us your argument in terms of this, because you have African Americans who are voicing, and you do have a handful of whites who have said something. Shelley, go to my iPad, please. George Clooney, Variety posted this yesterday, Jasmine, where George Clooney, he said that, look, he said, we're seeing some movement. He said it was amazing in the 30s, women had so many leading roles. He said, but the problem we have is, I think that African Americans have a real fair point. If the industry isn't representing them well enough, I think that's absolutely true. He went on to say, let's look back at the nominees. He talked about 2004. He talked about Will Smith this year, Idris Elba, as well as Ava DuVernay last year. He said, but honestly, there should be more opportunity than that. There should be 20 or 30 or 40 films of the quality that people would consider for the Oscars. By the way, we're talking about African Americans. For Hispanics, it's even worse. We need to get better at this. We used to be better at it.
Right. It's really easy to say that from a seat of privilege. I'm happy that Mr. Clooney is speaking up, and I think more of his colleagues need to do the same. I think at the end of the day, it's an easy out to call on blacks to boycott the Oscars. I mean, come on, if every single one of us tuned out and didn't watch the Oscars, it wouldn't really hurt their bottom line. It wouldn't really make much of a difference. But I think when, you talk about a Cate Blanchett, you talk about a Matt Damon, you talk about a George Clooney and Brad Pitt, and those folks, stand up and say, look, we're going to sit this one out in support of our African American colleagues. I think that sends a much stronger message to the 93% of the voting academy who is white and the 74% that is male.
Got to ask you this here. So in the statement from Cheryl Boone Isaacs, she said this here. This isn't unprecedented for the Academy. In the 60s and 70s, it was about recruiting younger members to stay vital and relevant. In 2016, the mandate is inclusion in all of its facets: gender, race, ethnicity, and sexual orientation. We recognize the very real concerns of our community, and so I appreciate all of you who have reached out to me in our effort to move forward together. But again, I think the point that you're making is, look, we see how black folks are going to respond. The question is, will major white celebrities say, I'm not going to show up? Will you have those female actresses who say, I'm not going to walk the red carpet, I'm going to stand in solidarity, raising this issue? Jennifer Lawrence wants folks to do it when it comes to income inequality for actresses. And Chris Rock said, baby, if you were a black actress, you'd be a whole different conversation.
Absolutely. I think we need to look at the bigger picture. Again, if the gay community was screaming foul because of the Oscars, folks would be standing up left and right to support the gay community. And it should be no different with the African American community, especially coming from Hollywood, who is known for being the most liberalist of the liberal, correct? Everyone, supports everyone. It's equality for all. Well, you know what? They need to put their money where their mouth is right now. I think it's more than lip service. I don't want to see folks accept awards in their fancy furs and jewels and dresses and do some sort of political speech about, the lack of black folks and then go backstage to do a ton of media interviews. No, sometimes being an ally, means you have to get up and actually do something. And I think African Americans, especially in Black Hollywood, deserve better from their white colleagues. And this is that point in time when they can actually do something. Stay away from the red carpet. Stay away from the ceremony. Stand with your colleagues. If you really believe that blacks should be treated equal and that you feel that this is atrocious, that no blacks were nominated, show it.
I want to go to our panel here. What do you think about that, what Jasmine is saying, that white actors and actresses need to step up on this and not just say African Americans, it's all on you?
Well, it shows the hypocrisy of white liberals to begin with, because from my perspective, all of the conversation tends to be from white liberals, oh, don't be a member of the Republican Party because that party is so exclusive. Yeah. White liberals are the problem. It shows the hypocrisy. She's absolutely right in this particular case. Put up or shut up and stop giving me these platitudes and these speeches that mean absolutely nothing. Stay your behind at home. Let's see how that works. No, you're not going to do that because the Oscars are self-congratulatory. Everybody patting each other on the back. They don't really care, in my view, about whether or not blacks are represented. What do they care?
And there's a problem here. The Academy is stacked with older white men as their voting population. Roland, 94% of CEOs and chairs of motion picture studios, white. That tells you there's a problem here. This guild has a problem. I think boycotting it would be certainly a wake-up call. Michael Moore, somebody who I don't normally tip my hat to, last night came out on NBC saying that he would be boycotting too. So maybe that's a step in the right direction, as Jasmine said. White liberals need to boycott.
Jasmine, the issue for me here, this is what I keep telling people, this is not about some awards. This is about economics. This is about not just actors and actresses. This is about sound mixers, costume designers, craft services, limousines. This is about producers, directors. This is about an entire industry that has essentially frozen most minorities out, very few, and as Spike Lee said, the only person I'm going to see is the brother sitting at the door when I check in at the security desk. That's about it.
I absolutely agree. As someone who's produced a couple of films myself, I agree. When we talk about the Oscars, we're talking about opportunities, right? So we're taking away, but the fact that African Americans are not being nominated means they're losing many opportunities. And like you said, not just sort of the actors and the actresses, but it's also the people behind the scenes. I know last night, one of the things that I was thinking really heavily on was Marlon Brando and what Marlon Brando did when he was nominated and then did in fact win the Oscar for The Godfather. And it'd be so great in 2016 if we had some of our, white counterparts in Hollywood sort of take up that sort of action and do those types of things that say, look, yes, it's more than just lip service we're paying. We're actually standing with you, and this is how we're going to join you in this fight.
All right, then. Jasmine, we certainly appreciate it. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
All right, then. Again, folks, you're right. I keep making the point. So-called liberal Hollywood, yeah? Mm-hmm. Let's see if you can open your mouth on this one.
Yeah, exactly.
And that won't be happening. All right, then, folks.
Kickstart your day at 7 and get the news you need from the perspective you want. News 1 Now with Roland Martin. Every weekday morning at 7 on TV 1.